How's it going, y'all? I'm Euclidean Vision, and look at this. I found some friends. Give me a cheer, y'all.
Hello. I'm Littley.
Welcome, one and all, to the first in a series I like to call Horizon Loony Colony, an Overwatch group therapy session where we'll be sharing our joys and grievances regarding the state of the game, its story, and more. With me today I have Tez. Give him a wave, Tez.
Hail.
Pepis.
I'm Littley.
And Cromanti.
Sha.
Nice. Good teabag. Thank you very much. Pleasure to have you all with me, guys. And now, for our first exercise. Die! So, with Archives just having finished, and Anniversary on the way, what do we think about Storm Rising? I don't want to ask too specific a question on that, so let's go alphabetically. Crom, thoughts on Storm Rising?
I mean, it's an Archives event, and it's nice to have these, basically. But I think it does show at least like an evolution of the Overwatch team's storytelling, which is kind of nice, at least. Sort of an effort went into putting in cinematics and whatnot.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. The cinematics, they put a lot of effort, into the cinematics.
Yeah. I think there was a little bit of hype backlash, unfortunately, because I remember seeing all the theories that, like, oh man, a Winston, Tracer, Genji, Mercy team, they're going to have mobility. Are we going to have to, like, jump to platforms in the middle of a hurricane or something along those lines?
Totally.
And it didn't quite happen. We sort of got, like, a usual gauntlet thing, and then sort of move a little payload bit, and yeah, I mean, it can certainly feel a little bit underwhelming, especially after we had some high hopes. But I mean, I don't really want to be doom and gloom here, and I don't feel doom and gloom here. It's something, and you know, maybe it will lead into something more into the anniversary event, given that there was that little teaser that seemed to imply that there was going to be some sort of follow-up to that animated short that we had with Doomfist, where he just utterly trashed Winston, Tracer, and Genji.
Singapore.
Yes, Singapore, and we might see some sort of tie into that or something along those lines, but I'm trying to keep my expectations a little bit moderated. I do always enjoy the PvE. I had a lot of fun trying out the new heroes, and I felt like there was enough retweaking, at least with sort of the various assault units and whatnot, that yeah, there's something there. Doesn't quite feel as ambitious as Retribution. But, yes.
So yeah, better sort of storytelling all round. It's much more embedded in what we already sort of knew a bit more, right? Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Pepis. Go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I was a little bit, very disappointed with the event, because in previous years we had like Uprising was very cool, and Retribution was completely different. Like they were the only thing they had in common was that it was an Overwatch mission and that it was PvE, but they were like completely different, and they had different enemies. The goals were different, and I expected the same. I expected the same for Storm Rising, and we had the same enemies, and it was like last year's but with a different map, and I felt really disappointed. I think it would have been nice to maybe like the Tracer, for example, the Tracer bike. I was super hyped because I thought like we were going to be able to use it.
Yeah,
I think we all thought that might happen. Yeah.
When the bike was destroyed in the first cinematic, I was like, no, please. I also something I really wanted from these events is a boss. We never have like a real boss fight. Yes, I was expecting like maybe the same, maybe the same enemies but in a different map, but maybe at the end a boss would have been nice. It would have been maybe a lot of effort, but I think that would have compensated the having the same enemies. Having a boss would have been really like Maximilian on a mech or something like that. That would have been.
That's
really
pretty
cool.
fair. Yeah, like giving them just like a single extra thing to really focus
Yes.
on, rather than making a whole slew of new enemies.
Yeah.
Say.
That would have been pretty good, but it was really disappointing. Also, I personally didn't really like the skins. I only liked Moira and Moira. Like I only liked
Moira and Moira. No, Moira's skin was pretty fire. I was hoping that they would
I
add
love
that at some point.
the syringes on the hand.
Okay,
was
to Tez, thoughts on Storm Rising? Nice one, Pep. Go ahead, Tez.
All right. Well, I suppose I should start with the few good notes I have on Storm Rising, which is that they've retroactively gone back and they've rebounced all the enemies. I don't know if anyone else noticed that.
Yeah, there's definitely like way longer stuns on the heavy assault.
Not even that. If you go back to Uprising, all the robots have had their damage and health rejigged.
Oh, really?
So they're not as tanky anymore, which I feel is great. It's great that you can kill the slices in 2 hits with Reinhardt's hammer instead of 3. So that was good, and they've added things like extra animations to the town soldiers. When they get hit, they'll get staggered. The enforcers, their shotguns, they aim slightly differently. So before it was the kind of slowly rotated towards you and then fired. Now it's they will track you and then they'll stop tracking you before they fire, which feels a bit more natural than it did before. Yeah, it all feels a lot better. It doesn't feel like a grind. Legendary is now possible, which is very nice. Players to complete legendary. So yeah, that's my good note for it. The main bad note that people haven't already covered is that Uprising and Retribution had very distinct flavours to it. Uprising was a very defensive mission where you're always defending these points and the enemy's coming at you. Retribution was this flip side where you're on the offense, you're going towards the enemy. And then Storm Rising, it's a hybrid, I guess. Half of it's attacking, half of it's defending the payload.
Yeah, it should have felt way more like an actual chase. It should have had the sort of tempo of Retribution.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think it has any distinct flavour to it. It doesn't feel like it needs to be there. It doesn't provide anything new, interesting. I don't
totally.
Anything. Even like lore-wise, gameplay-wise, you could delete it from the game, and I don't think anyone would really care.
No, it doesn't. It sort of just adds on two things that we already were sort of aware of, and being made aware of exactly how it happened doesn't do anything for us. It doesn't change anything.
Not really. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to say on the matter.
That's fair. Yeah. So overall, sort of disappointing. Like, good has its merits in its ways, obviously.
Yeah,
but...
disappointing given the teaser we got beforehand and what they made us expect. And it was taken away from us.
Okay, so as we know, like, this last event, they did dedicate sort of less development time to it, so like 6 months as opposed to the year the Retribution took, if I remember rightly. Is that something that you really feel that they should be putting focus into, or is there something else that would sort of bring you back to Overwatch more? Say like new heroes, modifications to the core game, the extra modes, things like the workshop. Do you think that they're sort of like a better investment of time? Let's go same order again, Crom.
That's a really good question, honestly. I mean, yeah, I'd like to see them devote more time to sort of an event like this, because, I mean, this was... Retribution was great, and Uprising was great, and Storm Rising did sort of feel a little bit rough around the edges, definitely. But, I mean, putting it that way, if you've got a limited number of people, as we all know, Blizzard is a small indie company, and they can only devote so many resources to the various modes and whatnot. But to me, what keeps me coming back is new hero, especially if it's a healer or a tank or someone that we absolutely need. So yeah, new healers are definitely, or new heroes are definitely something that appeals to me. And putting more effort into that, I think, might speed up the pace a little bit, because I think
So what, even
I
like
feel-
faster hero releases as well, do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because that is something that can really shake up the meta, and
Mm-hmm.
rebalancing definitely around something like that is can be tough, especially when the meta is like, if we had 4 hero releases, I mean, the game right now as it is, we definitely have sort of some controversial meta tiers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I guess even more so reworks. I was very happy with the sort of changing around of Sin and Torb's kit. But I mean, I don't know. I basically really want every hero to have its place, and so rebalancing around that, I think is appealing to me. Making sort of niche picks less niche, definitely.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, I guess stuff that you would encounter in basic multiplayer, but PvE does have a soft spot or I have a soft spot for PvE, and I mean, if they can put some extra people on, next year's event or the anniversary event or anything else, that'd be nice too.
Sweet. Okay, Pepis, well, what sort of brings you back to Overwatch, if it does at all?
For me, I don't know. I found the competitive play very fun because I am a competitive person. I like to feel like I'm the best.
Yeah.
But I like to compete with people, but I think if they had to put resources on something, I prefer things like the workshop than events, because events are temporal, and except for the archives event, they're always the same. And they don't really bring me back. If they are removing resources from the events and putting it on making new base game modes, like for competitive new modes, like for example, I don't know, capture a point on the center and then attack a base, that would be really cool as a mode, and I think that's better than events. So if the Storm Rising event is the consequence of putting resources on other places like new modes or things like the workshop, I think it's a great idea. But if they are going to put it on things like Overwatch League, then I think they should keep the people on the events.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So you're more about sort of the core experience. Would you like to see, say, like, would you like to see Capture the Flag move into the sort of main role, or?
No, I would like to see new competitive modes made for competitive. Sorry, that would be pretty good, and also maybe more arcade modes. But with the workshop, I really like the way it works, and I'm planning on making a mode myself.
Nice.
That I always wanted to make, so that's really cool.
Yeah, the workshop is definitely a big addition. Tez, well, so is it the workshop that's been bringing you back to Overwatch, or is there anything else in particular?
Lately it has been the workshop, yes, but before the workshop there hasn't really been a good reason to be coming back to Overwatch on a regular basis.
Okay.
The resources are very focused right now on the core of the game and mechanics, which I think is mainly because of the pro scene trying to make that more appealing to people, which of course that's connected to the core mechanics. But since every single match of Overwatch utilizes basically the same mechanics, it's going to get boring after a while, so putting all your resources into that isn't going to give you an excellent variety in like gameplay, like what you can experience. So I imagine people like me would get burned out very quickly and not want to come back unless something brand new, like a new event or the workshop, comes around. And of course, the past few years we've had Lucio Ball over and over again, which just contributes to that burnout because it's not anything new.
Yeah, they could definitely do something way more fun with the summer events, right? Something easy.
Yeah. I was just going to say something else. Yeah, the heroes. So right now we're 3 heroes a year. And we just hit our 30th hero. I think it's time to slow down on that.
Oh, you think it's time to slow down? That's very different from Crom's possible 1 increase per year.
I think it's time to slow down on the new heroes, focus on the current pool and make that not what it is now, because I know there's a select few that I'm not going to name by name that I'm not a fan of. A lot of people are a fan of. They want changing. Yeah, and if you slow down on that, you have more resources that you can move to new events, more variation in the gameplay, just new things that will keep people coming back. Because if you focus on the core, the only people that are going to come back are the dedicated competitive players, which that's fine if that was your original audience, but it's not. Blizzard originally made this as an extremely casual game with an extremely casual audience. And this model that they've shifted to over the years is not going to sustain a casual audience.
No.
So if that's to retain, maybe they should shift tactic from 3 Heroes a year to working on something else.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
That's my thought.
So yeah, you'd as long as the resources are going into sort of refining what the game is, so that it has a bit more longevity, you'd be happy to see less heroes overall.
Yeah, I think the workshop's a very good first step towards that. I think if they keep investing in that, it could very well end up in the same place that TF2 is now, where it's just people keep wanting to come back to it because there's so many new wacky things going on all the time.
Like the WarioWare mod.
Yeah.
So actually, looking at the workshop, what do you think is the best sort of ideal thing that could come out of it as you address sort of modes and the potential for altering heroes on a much more diverse scale? What do we think that the workshop could ultimately have to offer? Let's keep going in the same order, Crom.
The same order. Okay. So I have not actually had a chance to test out the workshop or any of the stuff that people have created. I'm just kind of lurking around Reddit at this point, and seeing that people have made Pong and whatnot. I mean, there would be a huge amount of resources to probably devote to any sort of map ed or anything along those. But I feel like something like that might be worth it at a certain point.
Okay,
Granted,
map editor. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a developer. I'm trying to be realistic here. I don't want to be just one of those pie in the sky peeps, but
it's a fairly reserved, long-term goal. I think it is a good idea.
Yeah, and to some extent, people have already sort of edited the maps that are in there with sort of no-go zones by basically, placing spheres in certain spots.
Oh, yeah, like lava missions and things.
Right. I mean, it's something that I've wanted for quite some time. Just, set up a few permanent May walls somewhere and, set up some sort of Lucio wall ride course or something along those lines.
As a Lucio main, I appreciate that idea and I want to try it.
Yeah. So, I mean, even if it's not just straight up map editor, I think just geo effects in general is something that
almost like the Tony Hawk's skate park editor, where it's about elements rather than the physics of the sort of That's a cool. Okay, I like that. Crom, that's a really good idea. Pepis, what do you want to see ultimately from the workshop, realistic or not?
I want a lot more freedom, to mess with the game. Well, I'm a programmer. I'm not I'm learning because I'm not professional, but I think I have a decent level of skill, and I think it would be really cool to have a lot more freedom in the workshop. For example, today I wanted to make an ultimate that nullified buffs, but I couldn't because the way the game is set up, you can't mess with how the game goes with damage buffs and speed buffs and those stuff. So I couldn't make that, and I would love to be able to make anything I want in the workshop. New status effects fear or something like that, and things that I cannot do now because even though it's complex, it's basic but not really. It's complex, but it doesn't have the freedom you have when you are using a game engine, and I think that's something that is we're never going to achieve because it's really difficult. But I would love to have that, even if it's not realistic.
So you want sort of the depth of possibility.
Yes, everything. I want to have the same power to control the game as the game programmers. I know that's not realistic, but I would love to have it.
Realistically, do you reckon that they could get to a point where you have, because obviously it's a very growing process, do you reckon there'll be a point where you have closer to the kind of control that you're looking for?
I think there will be a moment where you have a lot of options, but I don't think we will ever be able to create like new status effects or something like that, because that requires maybe messing with the base game too much. But I think it can. I think it will evolve and it will get more. You will get more freedom over time, and I think that's good.
Nice. Okay, Tez, favorite thing about the workshop?
Oh, favorite thing about the workshop. That's a different question to what you asked the others.
Oh, okay, no, sorry, I was sort of reading my sort of very generalised question. Well, what would you ultimately like to see from the workshop? That is what I asked, I think, right?
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think the workshop is currently going in a direction where it will be what I would like to see it be one day. It's in the PTR right now, it's still in testing. It was made by two guys on their own doing just fucking around. And they're adding stuff all the time. They added hit scan a couple of days ago, I think.
Okay.
So if they just keep adding things, to be honest, to a point where we could conceivably do whatever we wanted, then I'd be pretty happy. Also, I'd like eventually they're using all those drop-down menus, which they used for the workshop because it's used in every other part of the user interface for the game, which is fair enough. It was just the easy workaround to do it, but I'd like to see them overhaul that at some point to something more intuitive.
Okay.
Than a lot of drop-down menus.
Yeah. So like it's been streamlined for sort of the experience of people who might be familiar with Overwatch but not with coding, but you'd maybe want to see it move a bit more towards something closer to actual coding, is that right?
Not necessarily, just this user interface, I don't feel like it was made with just like the experience in mind. It was made because that's the way that would have gotten it done in time. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not very intuitive right now. It's not very user-friendly. No matter whether you're an experienced programmer or you're just someone starting out, it's not a very user-friendly thing. So yeah, I'd like to see that change. Not necessarily to hard coding, but just... Do you know Scratch?
I don't personally know.
It's a pseudo-programming thing where you just like have jigsaw pieces of the different programming elements. You sort of just in order.
I've seen something similar in Max MSP.
I haven't heard that one, but you were probably thinking about a similar thing.
Okay, then something more like that, where you're essentially fitting boxy functions together.
Because that's basically what we're already doing. We're just doing it in drop-down format, which isn't very... I can't tell what's going on half the time when I look at the stuff that I've written. So better user interface is what I would like to see in short.
Okay, cool.
I would like on the other side, I would like to have the terminal to be able to code with typing. I would love that because like it's where I feel like home. Like that's what I'm accustomed to, and I would really like that because like Tess said, you don't know what's going on with the drop-down menus because there's so many brackets and things that you don't know. When you have a really big thing, like you don't know what's going on there.
So if it were maybe an option, if they kept the one user interface as is and maybe gave an option to go further into it for people with more experience or something.
Yeah, like code, like the terminal, to be able to type the things and use the coding syntax.
Okay, we've sort of touched on this to an extent as we talked about sort of like focus on the core game modes. What do we reckon to some iteration of role queue? And let's go reverse order. Tess. Chaos.
What do you mean by role queue?
Yes, that's okay. Would you like to see... Oh yeah, the one that's come up more recently is like the 222 roll lock. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not familiar with this because I'm sorry.
Oh, they've been suggesting recently that they might implement possibly 2 competitive play. The idea of like locking in 222 as the way of playing.
Oh right, so
So you'd
The way that-
always have
you
two
don't-
tanks, two supports, two healers.
I think that just sucks the fun out of things like sex support comps. I want to see a meta one day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a. Yeah. It's not as fun. Totally. Do you think it's like a? Sorry. Go.
Triple tank keeps being this incredibly powerful thing that's come back, I think, on 3 different occasions in the meta. And yes, 222 would solve that, but there's limited creativity in team building if you go with that.
Mhm.
And I think the creativity of making wacky teams and finding weird combinations that win through sheer bullshit. It's part of the fun. It's why I play it. I don't know about you guys.
No,
but I
that's-
love it.
Yeah.
No, I like it. That's sort of as we mentioned earlier about sort of like attracting the sort of more casual end. That's what you were saying, actually, attracting the more casual end.
Yeah.
It's about it being fun, right? Like.
Yeah.
Pepis, any thoughts on a 2-2-2 roll lock? Do you think it's sensible?
Yeah.
Do you think it's
I hate it because of the same reason. There's like you don't have creativity to create your own teams. I really like to like in Pokemon you can have maybe 6 Bulbasaurs, but I want to have 6 Bulbasaurs. I don't want to have a balanced team. Maybe I want that, and I know what I'm doing. But if they make it mandatory to have 2-2-2, we will not like the possibilities of new metas really limited, and you can't maybe go okay, let's try this comp, let's try for DPS because they have ghosts and let's try to counter it. That's like part of the fun of Overwatch. If everyone is like 2-2-2, and then it's like okay, you can't try any wacky things like Tess said.
Yeah, true. Multi DPS has actually been coming about a lot because of multi tanks. So
Yes, but if you have 2-2-2, it's impossible. And maybe I don't know. I really like the Symmetra teleport on the point strategy where you have 3 supports, 2 tanks, and Symmetra, and you teleport there. But if there's 2-2-2, you can do that because they make you like they make the meta, and I don't like that.
yeah, very fair, very fair. Yeah, true, because it ultimately will sort of stifle the potential that the game kind of has. Any thoughts, Crom?
Yeah, Pepis and Tess basically took the words right out of my mouth. I'm adamantly against any sort of 2-2-2 enforced in game in sort of a non-organic way. And
Okay.
I mean, as in, like, I understand that there is a lot of frustration towards goats right now, and kind of does look like Blizzard is throwing a bunch of things at the wall to see if they can at least scale back goats a little bit, and it's still around. Granted, I don't hate it. I can understand why people would be very frustrated with it, and me, I feel like it is limiting the hero pool to have any sort of dominant meta in this case, especially one like Deathball Goats. But I think to me, what has always been really interesting is sort of seeing the team try to solve issues by introducing a new character that sort of enables a new type of composition. We've been seeing so much fun stuff from teams that are centered around Wrecking Ball as a main tank, and I mean, I'd much rather like to see stuff like that where a new hero comes in that basically shakes things up. They don't necessarily have to be like a goat shredder or anything along those lines, or
like Brigitte
but-
was.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm sort of thinking about how like new Torb's kit in September 2008, he deliberately had an ult that was designed to target armor and try to attack those slow-moving Deathball comps, and unfortunately, it hasn't seen that much success, despite being what I think is a really cool idea. But it's tough because take a game like Team Fortress 2, which takes all sorts of basically freedom with what players can choose to play and how many players on each team, and you can have sort of ridiculous comps because of that. And to me, I felt like Overwatch did sort of lose something when you were restricted to one hero per player, and
Yeah, that was actually I started playing after that was even a thing. So I've
yeah.
always been used to it at sort of as is, and the potential's obviously already there for wacky stuff. But yeah, that must have been another world entirely.
Well, I mean, it would just be a lot of fun. Like, 2 people would lock Winston, like the rest of us would just lock Winston and just spam his
Nice.
voice lines. And
Yeah, I was thinking of something sort of related, as you mentioned about like the multiplicity of heroes and how we don't want to see them so limited. Who do we feel was the best hero addition to the game? We'll start again with Tez. We'll go back in reverse order again.
Best hero edition. So since launch, who's the best?
Yeah, well, who would you feel was like the best hero launched, even for like what they were meant to do? So so that Brigitte counts. Do you know what I mean? Because she was very effective. I guess that's whether that was good or not is.
Now, my bias says either Sombra or Ash.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's not a competition. It's Anna, and everyone here.
yeah, I was going to say Anna.
Okay, Pepis, quick answer. Who's the best hero edition? We've got really quick answers in Anna.
But based on what? On how much I like them, on what they did to the meta?
Yeah, sort of how good of an addition to the game as a whole that they were. Does that make sense?
Okay, if we're counting new heroes, Anna, but I wasn't there when Anna was added, so for me, she was always there. So that it would be Sombra.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's the. Did you have a second, Crom? Because that's 2 pretty resolute answers in Anna and Sombra.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess what I really like about both Anna and Sombra is that they have found their niche, and it took a little while, definitely. There was sort of a idea that they'd been released undertuned, basically, and now they clearly seem to find their place, and I'm happy for both of them. But
yeah, that's cool. That was quite a nice, easy, resolute answer. I don't even think we need to like properly expand on it.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
With that in mind, then, of existing characters in sort of the extended universe, say, who are we most interested to see more from? Starting again with Tez.
Oh God, who do I want to see more from?
Yeah. Characters not in game. Yeah, we'll go with not in game yet, but any characters from the extended universe. Who would you like to see something from, whether it is just story or whether it is like an addition to the game?
That guy, the person in the... Do you know the Anna trailer? There's a photograph of them all together.
Mm-hmm.
There's one guy who hasn't been shown or named yet. I want to know who he is and how he's involved.
Oh, okay.
The guy with the kind of the faux hawk and the...
Yeah. Just for the sake of closure, I'm going to say him. I want to know who he is.
Yeah, there's theories that he's because of the hairstyle, he's shown in like the Talon meeting in Masquerade from the back or something, but it's very loose. Yeah, he's like a nobody at this point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's your sort of most intriguing. Is it mainly because most intriguing and we know so little, or?
That's not so intriguing, just frustrating that it's been 3 years.
Good answer, man. Good. I like that one.
Someone is like Sheldon.
I just want closure, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Pepis. Characters from the extended universe who you'd like to see more from.
Null Sector. I would like to know more about Null Sector and get new heroes, like what we had with Stone Rising. I want the character they showed in the cinematic at the end to be in the game. I want new heroes and from Null Sector because I think it's a really cool faction. Like it's like if suddenly gay people started being homophobic towards straight people. It's like the reverse. So I really like the idea.
Sort of like the sometimes contradictory nature of like rights ballot. Yeah, that's a really complex issue that it's nice that they're exploring, but
well, I mean, you've got it's a classic thing, like even mutants in X-Men. You've got the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, which are Magneto's this sort of thing, and I mean,
it's about how you use it.
Yeah, it's an allegory basically for sort of civil rights and some people will draw umbrage to that, and I mean, I don't blame them because there are definitely differences. But anyways,
yeah,
I didn't mean to hijack Pepis's question.
Yeah, finish off, Pepis. So yeah, you want to see more from Null Sector.
And also, I would like to know more about like the maps. What's going on the maps? Like, for example,
Ilios is definitely one that has very few ties to anything at this point.
Yeah, it's like it has nothing to do with the rest of the game. Or I don't know, Busan. Like, what are you doing there? Why are you on the city? Why? Like, that's why I like to know more lore about the maps.
Oh, okay, so like whenever, even just like an in-game thing that whenever you're, whatever place you go to, you'd like it to be like a bit clearer as to like an in-world reason.
On the spawn room, maybe like a voice acting of Athena telling you like, we are here to do this and that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Even something little like that, just to help sort of ground the engagement in the actual game.
Yes.
Cool. Crom, characters or, even like with Null Sector, sort of organizations, things you'd like to see more from?
I'd really like them to expand Vishkar a little bit more, because I feel like right now, well, initially they almost kind of seem to be set up as sort of the villain with good publicity version of Talon, essentially. And I feel like there's a lot there, and so far, the one other significant Vishkar person is also part of Talon, so yeah. And also Symmetra's kind of an odd duck right now, and I think maybe giving her at least some co-workers might be interesting, at least.
Because they have started expanding the smaller parts of the world a bit more of late, like with expanding the Deadlock Gang with Ash,
right.
Expanding, we literally just spoke about it, Null Sector with the new guy, the new robot guy, whoever he is.
Yeah,
so something to actually
name actually was mentioned. I can't remember what it is, but
did you say his name?
Yeah, there was. Well, there was some it was through like a Twitter post of like choose or something, like what this guy was actually named. I just wanted to say that now in case you get a ton of YouTube comments about like, oh yeah, it's this guy. And
I did not know that there was any like name given out for him. I was actually going to come to a question, what do we name him?
Maybe if that tweet does exist, you should put it on screen right now.
Yeah, hang on, let me see if I can find that thing.
If it exists, then the evidence will be here. But before we see the evidence, what would we name Mr. Evil Robot Man? Start again with Tess.
I don't know. Okay. I don't care about this guy. I want to know what it's called.
So Tez abstains. Pep, what would you name your long-awaited mystery evil robot man?
When I'm making, because I make fan heroes, I take a long process to name the hero, so it's
putting you on the spot doesn't help.
Like, I don't know. I have to know more about him to be able to put a name. I can like. Oh,
that's
yeah,
pretty fair. That's fair.
Like this, I know. I have to know about the backstory, nationality, his kid, his theme. I have to know all about that to maybe find something in the mythology, or maybe find some clever pun or something like that.
Okay, Crom, any wild guess at the possible name of Mr. Evil Robot Man?
Yeah, I can't find it. I don't know what it was.
Oh no, you couldn't find the tweet, could you?
No, I couldn't.
Okay, yeah. So ignore whatever their idea is. What's your idea?
Okay, so far we've had 4 robot name, pop culture reference, various puns, Dark Shadow.
Dark Shadow. Oh, you go in the Reaper route and going just as edgy as possible.
Well, actually, that reminds me that there was some theory that I really liked about. Okay, so.
Oh, I think I've heard this.
Yeah,
I think I have. I think I know what this is.
Reaper's been around for generations or something, and people were like, "Wait a minute, Ray's only started being Reaper like 5 years ago," and like, our lore people said like, oh no, that's completely true. So it could be something that has been placed down for generations.
Sort of like the Doomfist title.
Yeah. So it could be like this is Null Reaper, which I guess it's definitely something we'll have to workshop.
Yeah. I had in mind the. Did any of you see the Animatrix, like the animated sort of accompaniment to the Matrix?
Yes.
The name of the machine city is 01, and as we're dealing with null sector, I was like either 0 or 01 is my sort of card on the table.
Yeah, nice. We don't have any number here. Well, no, we do have Soldier 76. Never mind. Screw that.
Oh yeah, I was someone definitely who's not a machine has a number.
Is he not a machine? We don't know. Maybe he's like in Blade Runner. Maybe he's a machine, and we don't know.
Oh, the soldier program was a lie. He's an android. Oh wow, that actually be. They haven't got an android. Do you know what I mean? Like the difference between a robot and an android, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Huh. I just realised that Overwatch doesn't have like an android analog that could actually sort of be the thing to bridge that gap between human and Omnic. Hadn't thought of it.
I mean, I've seen that in like AUs and whatnot, where like Zenyatta has to run around in a skin suit, basically, or something. Which sounds gross now that I put it out that way, but
that sounded very Silence of the Lambs. That did, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember seeing one comic once where like, oh yeah, the nice friendly guy that Genji's befriended, he just had half his face broken off, and he's actually a robot. So yeah. But yeah, we don't have any like replicants or anything along those lines.
Yeah, I never sort of thought about that. And that sort of brings me to what I'll make the final question. We've been chatting for a little while now. How important to you individually? I was originally going to be like how important overall, but how important to you guys individually is like the story of Overwatch for like how the franchise works? Tez?
Extremely. I think it's at least 50% of the appeal of Overwatch to me, personally. And one of the reasons that Overwatch is continually pissing me off so much is because it has been so long now. And
Tez wants closure, please.
I do. We're basically still on the prologue. Like, the story hasn't advanced. We're not going anywhere. We're still seeing people answer Winston's call.
If at all.
When is it going anywhere?
But you'd like to see it go somewhere, am I right?
Yeah, like, we got the Bastet story, and I was personally pretty mad at it, and people were like, oh, you mad at Soldier 76's gear? I'm like, no, I'm mad that they decided to out Soldier 76's gear over advancing the story.
Because nothing happens in that story.
Yeah, exactly.
It's mildly forced character growth at best, and that's pushing it. Like, yeah, that was kind of disappointing to me as well, to be honest.
Yeah, something that kind of puts me off of Overwatch lately is just how slow it's going. I joined in thinking, oh, this is going to go somewhere, it's going to be great, I'm going to stick at it, and then no, it doesn't go anywhere. Do you feel
that like a faster pacing of the extended media would sort of help in some way?
I mean, any pace is faster than zero pace. So yes.
Yeah, cool. I like the resolute answers. That's really good. Pepis, how important is the story to you within like your enjoyment of Overwatch?
For me, it's like important because like when you are playing a hero, I like heroes right rank classes because like they have a backstory and a theme, and like you can maybe empathize a bit with them, not with Reaper because he's Reaper, hey,
I like Reaper. If Reaper is what I think he is, he's sick, but that's that's probably wrong.
Yeah.
So
but I think like what Tess said, like there's no backstory spans, like there's no the lore is not going anywhere. Like it seemed like it was going to advance at the first BlizzCon where Overwatch was released with the Sombra short.
Oh, okay,
but
yeah,
they, like stop. Like okay, we are not doing anything more. Like right now we are at that point. Like maybe with the comics we have like maybe advanced a little bit more, but it's like really not nothing. And I expected like every BlizzCon to get a short advancing. Like every short will be now advancing the game, but they are like all things from the past, and we are not getting anything new. Like when the Diva short was announced, before seeing it, I thought, I don't really know why, but I had like this feeling it was going to be like advancing the story. I was like, finally, but when I watched it, I was like, no, why? We already know this happened. Why do we need? Like, it was cool to see the other mecha fighters, but apart from that, I really didn't like. Okay, nice.
Yeah, I have my grievances with Shooting Star. I won't go in. I won't go into that. It's good world building, but it's not a good story. Crum, how important is the story of Overwatch to you?
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one who's kind of a lore junkie right now, even with like the bare scraps that we have been given for the most part. And I mean, I would love more advancement. I think something that kind of bugged me for a little bit is that I feel like the pace would be so much better if there weren't just so many cards hidden, basically. And
okay, yeah, that's a really good point to make. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, it's I guess maybe they do have sort of this world bible that they're slowly going through, and all evidence seems to point to that. But I'm a little bit frustrated, I guess, and I'm not the only one who shares this, which is good.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I'm willing to write my own goddamn lore if the lore continues at the pace that it's going, and I mean that's basically what I have to say. I didn't mean for it to sound like an angry rant or anything.
No. It's okay to be angry here. This is Horizon Loony Colony. Like this is we're here to share what we dislike sometimes. Like obviously it's not like we deserve anymore. It's good that they do what they do, but we also can see that there's often more they could have done, or the potential for what they could do is so vast with this franchise that it's really disappointing when it's run of the mill. Yeah,
and the example that keeps coming to my head, and this might be controversial or whatever, but the Farah comic introduced this idea of god programs, basically, that turn your friendly robots into sort of a zombie apocalypse. And I mean, that seemed like an interesting concept. I can see why it would kind of have some sort of unfortunate implications in the same way that, like, the mutant thing in X-Men would. But, and then I guess when it was all sort of retconned and it basically Q almost said outright that he didn't really want to do, or the lore team didn't want to do anything with that, I feel like maybe we'd have sort of less frustration at the lore stagnating if there was... They set them up as kind of like this Disc 1 final boss, and then just had just even like maybe short stories or anything in the same vein as Bassett, except there'd be like actual stuff happening.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chew.
Yeah. So like, do we all feel like that there's elements of the story that have often been introduced maybe either too early and then not expanded upon, or they introduce like too many tiny little bits and then don't follow up on them? Is that sort of what you were saying earlier, Tez?
It wasn't what I was saying, no, but it is a general pattern that seems to be happening. Especially early on.
They like introduce a new faction and maybe they don't talk about it for years to come. Like, I don't know, it's really frustrating. Like Deadlock, they introduced Deadlock and they didn't expand upon it or anything until Ashe was released, like 3 years later.
To be fair, Deadlock wasn't a very important thing. It was just like an origin story from McCree. It wasn't necessarily something that mattered until Ashe came.
Yeah, that's true. It's been given more importance now. So then things like the God programs, or there's definitely something else. Oh, all the dig sites.
Sombra's Conspiracy? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, Sombra's Conspiracy, like the... one I was really thinking of then was all like the dig sites, like how...
Yeah, right.
Are they of what importance to us? Like, do you know, like you were saying about the maps, Pepis, like having a bit more understanding why we're there would be kind of helpful.
Yes.
Nice. Well, I think that's probably about all the time we we really have today.
Yeah.
Alright.
We've aired some grievances. We've maybe given Blizzard some good ideas. You know, just saying.
Assuming they listen to us.
Well, yeah. There is that. I mean, don't expect that, I suppose.
Jeff
Some-
is probably
some-
waiting for the video to upload.
Yeah,
He's
mate.
probably waiting at home.
Yeah, Jeff's keeping an eye. He's tapped
Yes.
in. He's tapped into our conversation. But yeah, thanks very much for being with me today, guys.
Thank you for
Alright.
inviting
Guys and
us.
gals, guys and ladies, everything
Thank you,
under the
thank
sun.
you.
Hopefully, we will see you again soon. Everybody say goodbye.
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 Bye.
Nice.